I'm going to be breaking down the 6 steps to not fuck up your ad campaigns, or the 6 mistakes that you're making that are killing your conversions, skyrocketing your lead costs, and making your campaigns not profitable on Meta. We went as far as to test this for ourselves. We did everything wrong, and then we implemented everything right to see what the result would be. And what we found is that our lead cost went from over $100 down to $4 to $5. You can see $58, $24, $144 cost per lead. Check this out, folks. $4, $5.50. Everything I'm going to be talking about in this video is going to be so you can have those same results. Now, the first step is to not set up open targeting too quickly. And that's exactly what we had done on this ad account. Is we didn't feed it the pixel, even though we gave it some remarketing data, we weren't giving it enough to focus on. Because Meta is a lot like a heat-seeking missile, right? Where we need to point it in the right direction, give it 50 conversions to be able to feed it to know who is it that we want the ads to target, to place those ads in front of. The further downstream that you can connect those, for example, through CRM events, the better. So if you can connect 50 conversions or 50 people that become clients, feed that back to the ads manager, then Facebook is going to know exactly who we want to be targeting. Now, the AI is so sophisticated these days that it's truly remarkable what it can do as long as it just has the right data and the right information. Doing the open targeting too quickly, you might be able to get some cheap leads fast. However, it's kind of like the tortoise and the hare, where if the tortoise is given enough time, then eventually it's going to win the race. And the way that that relates to the ad account is by giving Meta enough data. So if you just start off with open targeting, it's kind of like it'll start off quick, but oftentimes what happens is it doesn't have enough data to actually sustain those results to know who to target in the first place. So I've had some success initially launching them, but it can be kind of hit or miss with open targeting. The next mistake that people make is targeting too narrowly. There's a few ways that this manifests. Number one, I mean, you can target based on job title on Meta. It sounds incredible. So we could target XYZ CEO in this industry, but the problem with that is that everybody else in the market is also competing for those eyeballs. And so it sounds great on paper, but if there's only an audience size of 200,000 people, the entire market as well as advertising to those people, what do you think is going to happen to your costs? As demand increases, so does the price, and that's exactly how the Meta algorithm works. And just to give you an idea of how to visualize this, right, there's the total market, then we have our total addressable market, and then we have the small pocket of folks that are ready to buy now. We are aiming for that total addressable market size, but now we also have all the other companies in the market who are selling to that same demographic, trying to use the same targeting on Meta. It just reinforces this demand curve and exponentially increases the CPMs, which means that our campaign profitability is going to plummet. An analogy for this is, right, like imagine you have 1,000 gumball machines that have pink gumballs, and you tell Meta that you only want to focus on those 1,000 gumball machines. 3% of the market's willing to buy, so that leaves 30 gumball machines. The entire planet is also competing against us, trying to market to that narrow audience on Meta. And especially as more and more marketing agencies enter the market, the same number of people are going to be targeting those folks. The market size of marketing agencies grows by 17% every year. How does the algorithm react? As I mentioned before, it increases the cost of advertising. That brings me to the third point, which is experimenting too much. I've seen clients do this where they're testing creative on ABO campaigns, which is where you're setting the budget on the ad set level as opposed to the campaign level, and then which means that you're testing creative on like a specific audience. Like you might take a winning audience and test it on those folks. But if your audience is so narrow in the first place, then it's usually not the best setting to test new creatives on. It's far more effective to test new creatives on broad because it gives us a bigger market size to be able to experiment with. The important thing with broad, and I neglected to mention this earlier, is having the ad copy, the headlines, the top text, the conversion event, where it is that you're actually sending these folks, the landing page, etc., actually call out the audience. The more that we give Meta that specific audience, the more that the AI is going to be able to determine like, okay, this person is targeting contractors or this person is targeting roofers. I know what that is, etc. By testing that new creative, you're going to want to ensure that you have at least $3 per day per experiment being run. That would be the minimum, because otherwise you can dilute the budget to spend less than $3 per day, which means that you're just not going to convert leads fast enough to be able to get your money back on the advertising, generate cash flow, and then B, you're just not going to give enough Kool-Aid to Meta to be able to work with. It's kind of like, I don't know if you've ever had that experience where you take a little bit of Kool-Aid or solvent or powder and you put it into water and you only put a little bit in it to where it slightly changes the flavor, but you're not actually getting the good juice out of it because you just didn't haven't put enough Kool-Aid in the water. Which brings me to point number 4, not properly setting up the lead form. Here's what we had done previously on the lead form. Number 1 is that we were having people fill out all the fields on their own as opposed to having auto-populated fields. So we asked them qualifying questions, but then we had thanks, all set. You could visit our website to exit the form now. And the problem with this is that we were getting a lot of people that would click on the form but weren't actually filling out the form. So the changes that we made on the lead form for this campaign. Now, if you actually want the exact copy that we used, stay through to the end. As you can see here, right, we have 43 leads that came in through that lead form. The link clicks on it were 74. So that means that more than 50% of the people that actually clicked on it submitted a lead form. And you can see how big of a difference this made on the actual click-through rate, almost 4x. The other thing too is changing the actual copy on that when they submitted the form, funneling them to the landing page to actually book a call. It's kind of like giving them the carrot on every step of the way. And that's what good copy does. Really having the copy dialed in to funnel them to that next step in the funnel, and having a copywriter, if you yourself are not a copywriter, to forward them to the next step in the buying journey. If you're getting a lot of value out of this video, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, helps us better serve the agency world, help us grow our business to employ more people and support the global economy. Number 5 is not experimenting with enough headlines and body copy. On this campaign, we discovered what the winning creatives were. We discovered which ones were producing clients, which ones called out the audience. You can see here, right? Like the CPMs for B2B targeting, these are pretty great. And that's reflective in the quality of the creative. Now, what we had done is, we're putting $45 a day behind this. So there's $15 a day allocated per creative. We're experimenting with a few different body copies, calling out the target audience. And then we also added 5 different headlines to experiment with and updated the description. Pretty low, non-committal call to action, which is learn more, funneling them towards our lead magnet. In this case, right, we are breaking a little bit of the rule where there is 2 body copies being run with 5 headlines. There's about 10 different permutations here or variations that's being experimented with on $15 a day. The good news is that because this is broad, Meta can just allocate that budget to where it thinks it's the best. And because we've given it enough testing bandwidth, it's able to allocate that budget effectively. So even here, you can see like this generating some leads at like $250. This one I spent $160 and still generating leads at $4, which is nuts. You can see as well engagement rate, conversion rate, etc. If you want to see the 3-second video plays, we're hitting at about 35% of the hook rate on this creative. So that's how you know that this creative is a winner, or that it has a high probability of being able to scale. But if you do want access to that video, watch the Everything I Learned After Spending $50 million in Ads to break down how to find your winning creatives. After we found the winning creatives, experimenting with more headlines, experimenting with more body copy, we were able to substantially reduce the cost per lead with also changing the lead forms. The last mistake that I see a lot of people make is that they try to optimize for lead quality too soon. And it's the same thing that happens when you try to target too narrow of an audience, where if you say, hey, I only want people that are going to buy right now, and you want to add 17 different qualifying questions, then you're going to increase the lead quality, but the lead volume is going to decrease. Now, there's this idea in Buddhism, finding the middle path between 2 extremes. And this is a great principle for decision-making in general, finding our footing and being grounded through life. As you can see, on one end of the spectrum, lower lead quality and higher volume. And this happened all the time when we started running ads. What happened? Well, the sweet spot, we were like way off the mark. We were way off the middle path. So yeah, sure, we were getting volume and very cheap leads for like $2-3, but they weren't even our target audience. You want to always add 2 qualifying questions on the lead form. So number 1 is asking a relevance question to ensure that they are in fact the target market that we're going after. This does 2 things. Number 1, it disqualifies all the riffraff that you don't want, i.e. the carpet cleaners that aren't going to do business with you because that's not your niche, unless that is your niche. Then the flip side of this is the budget qualifying questions. The sweet spot is finding the equilibrium between lead quality and then also lead volume. Every professional service-based company struggles with this, where if you go too much on the lead volume, you're going to spend a lot of time in your sales process converting those leads, and it's not ideal either. And if you go on the flip side of that, is that your cost of advertising is going to just be far too expensive, where you're not going to have enough leads, and those leads are going to be extremely expensive for you to generate, having too narrow targeting from earlier, where it just makes the campaign economically not productive or profitable. What is that sweet spot? Well, that sweet spot is, like I said, 1 relevance question, asking them, are you in fact in our target market? That also helps feed Meta the right type of target audience that we are going after. And then number 2 to the budget qualifying question. By finding that sweet spot, you're going to be able to increase the profitability of your campaigns while also being able to generate very high quality leads from said campaigns. If you want access to the resources that I shared today, for example, this flowchart, this document that details everything that I shared here, the lead form copy that I touched on, then go ahead and join our Facebook group. There's a bunch of other free resources there. You're always going to be first to get access to our case studies, as well as exactly how it is that we're scaling our clients' ad campaigns. Or if you want access to us and our team to be able to put together the custom lead form copy, custom body copy, custom headlines, custom creatives, everything that I talked about that's helped us have up to 26x return on ad spend using a lot of these practices, then go ahead, book a call on the link in the description, and we'll chat soon. Take care. Bye.